There was once a mum who had 2 kids. Her eldest son was always busy playing games or watching TV, while her youngest was always outside playing. The mum would often see her younger son outside playing and would tell him to come inside and watch TV together. But the younger son would always refuse and say he'd rather play. He knew that his mother had bought him some new toys, and he wanted to play with them more than anything else. One day, the mom decided she had enough of her older son just sitting around doing nothing. So she called him into the kitchen and said, "Son, I want to give you something special today." She handed him $20 and told him it was his allowance for the week. Then she drove him to the mall and let him choose whatever he wanted from the toy store. When they got home, the mom asked her older son what he had bought with his allowance. He showed her a brand new game that cost $20 exactly. She looked at the game and said, "You spent all your money on this." He nodded proudly. His mom sighed and said, "I thought you'd be more responsible with your money. This game will break, and one day you'll need new batteries. You should have saved some of your allowance in case you needed it later." The boy frowned and went to his room. A few days later, the mom was watching TV when her youngest son came in and sat next to her. She asked him what he was doing, and he said, "I was playing outside, but now it's too cold. Do you think I can have some candy now?" She smiled and said, "Of course, honey. What kind do you want?" He replied, "I don't really care. Just please don't tell my brother." She laughed and said, "Why not? Are you trying to hide something from him?" He shook his head and whispered, "I want to surprise him with a gift." She was taken aback by his words and asked, "What do you mean?" He explained that he had been saving his allowance to buy his brother something nice because he had seen how upset he got when he couldn't find the batteries for his game. So he thought maybe he could buy them for him as a surprise. The mom was touched by her son's kindness and told him that she was proud of him for wanting to help his brother. She hugged him tightly and said, "You are such a good boy. I knew I could count on you." Then she took him to the grocery store and helped him pick out some snacks and drinks. After their shopping trip, the mum sat down with both of her sons and talked to them about wants versus needs. She started with the basics. We all have different wants, things we would like to have, like toys, clothes, and candy. These are all nice things, but we don't need them to survive. We also have needs, things we must have to survive, like food, water, and shelter. It is important that we prioritize our needs over our wants. She then gave each of her sons an example. Your brother wanted a new game, but he didn't have enough money to buy it. So instead of telling him no, I gave him the money so he could buy it. That was his choice. He could have saved his money for another day, but he chose to spend it on something he wanted. On the other hand, you, my youngest, have done a great job saving your money so that you could buy something nice for your brother. That was very thoughtful of you." She paused for a moment before continuing. "The problem is when we spend all our money on things we want, and then we can't afford the things we need. For example, if you spend all your allowance on candy, then you won't have any money left for batteries when your brother needs them. Or if you spend all your money on clothes, then you won't have any money left for food. That is why it is important to save some of our money for emergencies." Both of her sons nodded their heads in understanding. "So what do you think I should do with my allowance?" asked the older son. The mom smiled and said, "Well, since you already spent your allowance on something you wanted, I think the best thing to do now is to start saving for something you need. Maybe you could save up for a new bike or some new shoes." The older son thought for a moment. "Actually, I don't really need those things. I guess I could just keep saving until I have enough money for something I really want." His mom nodded proudly. "That's the spirit. And remember, even though it might be hard to wait until you have enough money for the things you want, it's important to save so that you can afford the things you need. If you can do that, then you will be all set. The oldest son thanked his mom for the advice and went to his room to start saving for his next big purchase. As for the younger son, he continued to save his allowance so he could surprise his brother with a gift. And the mom couldn't be prouder of both of them. It's important to teach our kids about wants versus needs at an early age so they can learn to prioritize and make smart financial decisions. By giving them real-life examples and helping them understand the difference between the two, we can ensure that they grow up with a strong sense of financial responsibility. This story teaches us that 1. We all have different wants and needs. Wants are things we would like to have, while needs are things we must have to survive. 2. It is important to prioritize our needs over our wants. If we don't have enough money to cover both our wants and needs, we should focus on meeting our needs first. 3. We should teach our kids the difference between wants and needs and help them make smart financial decisions. By instilling good financial habits early on, we can help our kids become financially responsible adults. 4. Saving money is important, whether it's for something we want or need. It's always a good idea to have some money set aside for unexpected expenses or opportunities. 5. It's okay to spend money on things we want, but we should be mindful of our spending habits and make sure we don't neglect our needs. We can find a balance between enjoying our wants and taking care of our needs. Do you think the mum did a good job teaching her kids about wants versus needs? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to follow for more fun stories and educational content for kids. Thanks for watching. See you next time.